This is the story of the house in the storm. There was a woman who lived alone in a small house at the edge of a vast plain. She had chosen this remote place, seeking peace and solitude after years of chaos in the city. For months, her life was exactly as she had hoped. Quiet mornings with tea, long walks in the afternoon sun, evening hours spent reading by candlelight. But one autumn day, dark clouds began gathering on the horizon. By evening, the wind was howling around her little house, rattling the windows and doors. That night, the storm hit with full force. Rain pounded the roof. Lightning split the sky. Thunder shook the walls until she feared they might collapse. She lay in bed, wide awake, listening to every sound. Each crack of thunder sent her heart racing. Each gust of wind made her imagine the worst. What if the roof caves in? What if the windows break? What if I'm trapped here with no help coming? Hour after hour, she created stories of disaster in her mind. By dawn, she was exhausted, not from the storm itself, but from fighting it in her thoughts. The next night brought another storm. And again, she lay awake, battling invisible catastrophes that existed only in her imagination. This pattern continued for weeks. Every storm became a war between her and the weather. Her peaceful refuge had become a prison of anxiety. One evening, as yet another storm approached, something unexpected happened. Her elderly neighbor appeared at her door, soaked from the rain. "My roof is leaking," he said simply. "May I shelter here tonight?" She welcomed him in, made tea, and gave him dry clothes. As the storm raged outside, she found herself focused entirely on his comfort rather than her own fears. They sat together in silence, listening to the rain. But something was different. Instead of fighting the sounds, she simply heard them. Instead of imagining disaster, she felt grateful for their warm, dry shelter. "You seem so calm," she said to her neighbor. "Aren't you afraid the storm might damage your house even more?" The old man smiled gently. "The storm will do what it does," he said. "My worry cannot change that. But my worry can certainly ruin this peaceful moment we're sharing." In that instant, she understood something profound. The storm had never been her enemy. Her thoughts about the storm had been the real source of her suffering. The rain, the wind, the thunder. These were simply natural events. They had no personal intention to harm her, but her mind had transformed them into threats, creating a second storm inside her thoughts. From that night forward, when storms came, she practiced what her neighbor had shown her. She acknowledged the weather without fighting it. She felt the fear without feeding it with stories. The storms still came, but she no longer battled them twice, once outside her windows and once inside her mind. The Buddha taught that we suffer not because pain exists, but because we resist the reality of our experience. This resistance creates what he called the second arrow, the mental suffering we add to life's inevitable challenges. Think about the storms in your own life, the difficult relationships, health concerns, financial worries, or work pressures. These are the first storms, real challenges that require your attention and response. But notice how often your mind creates a second storm, the endless replaying of conversations, the catastrophic imagination of future disasters, the bitter rehearsing of past hurts. This second storm happens entirely in your thoughts, but it feels completely real. In fact, it often causes more suffering than the original problem. Why do we create these mental storms? Our minds evolved to protect us by constantly scanning for danger. This ancient survival mechanism served us well when threats were immediate and physical. But in our modern world, This same mechanism often works against us. Our minds treat emotional challenges like physical emergencies, flooding us with stress chemicals and worst-case scenarios. The woman in the story discovered what the Buddha taught his disciples centuries ago. We cannot control the storms of life, but we can change our relationship to them. When we stop fighting the inevitable difficulties and start accepting them as part of human experience, something miraculous happens. The second storm begins to calm. This doesn't mean becoming passive or giving up. It means responding to challenges from a place of inner stillness rather than mental chaos. The Zen tradition speaks of being like a mountain during earthquakes. The mountain feels every tremor, but remains fundamentally stable. It doesn't waste energy fighting the earth's movement. You can develop this same quality. When emotional storms arise, instead of immediately creating mental stories about them, try simply acknowledging what you're experiencing. There is sadness here. There is fear present. There is frustration arising. This simple shift from I am sad to there is sadness creates space between you and the emotion. You become the aware witness rather than the victim. In that spacious awareness, you discover something remarkable. Emotions, like weather, are temporary. They arise, peak, and naturally subside when we stop feeding them with resistance and story. The Buddha said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This is not about controlling your thoughts or suppressing difficult emotions. It's about recognizing that you are larger than any single thought or feeling. You are the awareness in which all experiences arise and pass away. You are the sky through which all weather moves. You are the deep ocean that remains calm beneath surface waves. Tonight, as you notice thoughts and emotions arising, remember the woman and her neighbor. Can you distinguish between the actual storms of your life and the mental storms you create about them? Can you practice being present with what is, rather than fighting what might be or should be? The storms of life will continue to come, but you no longer need to face them twice, once in reality, and once in the prison of your thoughts. As the Buddha taught, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. The peace you seek is not found in the absence of storms, but in your ability to remain centered within them. Let the storms pass through you, not over you. You are more spacious than any weather that comes your way.